Hey, it's Ted McGrath. So if you're struggling to convert more clients online, or if you're struggling to close 2 to 3 times more clients, then what if I were to tell you that it's because you haven't mastered a single presentation that can close 5, 10, even 50 clients at once? And here's the big myth that most coaches, consultants, experts, service businesses run into. They think that funnels close clients, but funnels don't close clients. Presentations close clients. So if you're struggling to close clients online, if you're struggling to get your funnel to work online, if you're struggling to close more clients even on the phone, if you're struggling to close more clients on stages, it's because you don't have a presentation that actually converts. Now, I know something about this because I've closed nearly $50 million as a result of a presentation, and a single presentation that I've been able to use across multiple different platforms, whether it's in-person stages, other people's stages, podcasts, webinars, live streams, my own YouTube shows. I've been able to take a single presentation and monetize it. And so I'm going to break down for you in today's video the exact structure that I've used to actually use presentations to close 5, 10, 15, 20 clients at once. And I'm going to map out the 3 specific things one needs to actually work with this model. And a lot of times I'll hear from people, hey, I'm launching online, it's not working. My ads aren't working. My funnel's not working. Clients aren't buying. It's the wrong audience. Or I have people that I coach that go get booked on stages prior to coming to me, or they're going to get on podcasts and they're going to get on different webinars, and they're like, I'm not getting clients. How come I'm not getting clients? And the reason people aren't getting clients is because they haven't mastered this simple presentation structure. Okay. And I'm going to break down for you what the simple presentation structure is right now. And I'm going to draw it out for you in a very simple way. All right. So the first thing to look at on a presentation of 3 things, there's 3 things one needs. Okay. There's 3 very simple things that you need to actually succeed and win in presentations. And if you don't have these things, you are actually never going to convert online. And if you do convert, it's going to be because mainly luck, or you're not converting at the rate that you should. So there's 3 very simple things, but are very profound, that when you know this will work across every freaking platform that you've ever spoken on for the most part. And I'm going to give you the ones that it works on. Okay. So the first thing you need in a presentation is you need great content. Okay. You got to have great content. And so what I mean by content is, no matter what you're doing, like if you're doing a YouTube show, you're going to share good content. If you're doing an ad, even in an ad, you can give people tips of like, here's the 3 things that help me actually do ba, ba, ba. That's content in a very short form. When you're doing a presentation on a stage, let's say you get booked on other people's stages, it's content. It's content that moves the room. If you've ever done a webinar before, like early in my career, when I automated my first webinar, I closed a bunch of people in an automated fashion buying $1,000, $2,000 products because I gave great content in the webinar presentation. When I get booked on podcasts, I was just on a podcast last week or 2 weeks ago. It gets 1 million monthly downloads, the podcast, and I was sharing great content. And so content wins the game, because when you're working with customers, the main thing you want to do is you're looking to add knowledge and value to the customer. So you want to add value to the customer before you actually get them to buy something. And so if you don't have content in a presentation, you're not going to win. And when I say presentations, one presentation you can use across all platforms. So it's the presentation structure that matters, and that's what I'm teaching you right now. So the first thing is content. The second thing is story. If you don't have a story you can tell in your presentations, you're never going to win the game. And there's different structures to storytelling. Like if you're in an ad, it might be like 10 seconds of a story. If you're in a webinar presentation that's 60 minutes, you might have a 3 to 4 minute story. If you're on a stage and you're speaking for 90 minutes, you might have a 15-minute story, but you got to know the story structure that actually converts. And the third thing you need to know that we're going to talk about today is you got to know how to pitch or close. If you don't know how to close through presentations, You're never going to win online, ever. Okay. It's just, you have to know how to close. And so many times people come to me and be like, Ted, well, the close is like, that you mean selling something? I'm like, not just selling something. Okay. This is actually bigger than selling something, because when you get onto any form of a presentation structure, right? You could be on, let's say, for give you an example, Alex Moscow, a client of mine who had a stutter years ago. And when he first started getting on stages, I taught him how to get on his own stage, and he got up and he spoke to 10 clients and closed $71,000 in sales on his first stage ever. And he had a stutter. But what I shared with Alex is I let him know that the primary thing that actually wins the game is your storytelling and your content and your ability to close. And he said, well, Ted, I'm booked on this stage. And he says, I can't close people from the room. I can't sell anything. I can't make an offer. I said, yeah, you can. I said, in fact, you're on the stage. You can make a free offer. So even when they tell you can't sell, you can make a free offer. So closing is not just closing on a paid offer, like go buy my $2,000 product or my $10,000 product. Closing, it happens both on paid offers and it also happens on free offers. Hey, it's Ted McGrath. So real quick before we go any deeper, if you're looking to scale online through one-to-many selling, whether it's podcasts, webinars, or even in-person stages, and you need a personal growth strategy to scale, you can click the link down below, book a call with one of my coaches. It's totally free, and we'll put together a plan for you. All right, let's get back to the content. So it happens on paid offers, and it also happens on free offers. So the closing is paid. So you close on a paid offer and you close on a free offer. And so there's a methodology of how one would close on a paid offer or a free offer. Okay. So two examples of this might be from this scenario of, let's say, even I'm doing an ad and I want you to get something for free. And I'm like, hey, did you know that most coaches, consultants, experts, they're struggling to actually close more clients? They're struggling to get more deals. They're struggling to close people online, and they're exhausted on one-to-one sales calls, and they're trading time for dollars. And at the end of the day, they just want to close more deals. Did you know that a single presentation could close 5, 10, 50 people at once? Yeah, I know this because in my career, when I first started on stages, I was exhausted doing one-to-one sales calls, and I was closing one-to-one deals. And then when I got on my first stage, I bombed. And I realized that after almost passing out in front of an audience and breaking into sweats, that I need to give a really great presentation. And inside any great presentation is 3 core components. And when you get the free gift down below, you're going to get the 3 components to a killer presentation that converts 5, 10, 20 clients at once. So snag it down below. I hope it serves you. And if you love it, or give us great feedback on it. See you soon. So even notice what I did there. In an ad, I'm actually closing. So in an ad, I'm making a free offer, so I'm closing. And what sets up the close on the free offer is you have to be really good at your presentation that leads up to the free offer. So even in an ad's a presentation. And most people don't get this. When you go online, even a sales video is a presentation. Even when you tell somebody to go book a free consultation with you, like that's a video that says go book a free consultation. That's a presentation. So many times people are used to stages. Like when I talk about stages, because I have a brand called Stage Empire, and I talk about stages, they're like, well, I don't want to be a speaker. I'm like, no. If you're online, if you want to get booked on other people's stages, if you're doing sales videos, if you're doing free consultation videos, if you're doing ads, like you are a presenter. So you're a speaker, because if you don't master the skill of presentation, then you'll never close. So you have to know these 3 things to actually close, period, right? You have to know these 3 things to actually convert and get clients. And most people don't actually understand that. All right. So let's break it down of the 3 components of actually closing more customers and closing more customers in droves. So when you look at this right here, oftentimes people will come to me and they'll go like, Ted, I want to just go online and like my funnel's not converting and I need some help. Or Ted, I want to go just get me booked on stages. Get me booked on stages, right? I want to go online and convert, or just get me booked on stages. I hear that a lot of times because sometimes I get speakers coming to me. Sometimes I get coaches and consultants. And I just say, listen, there's what, if you're going to go online or if you're going to go get booked on a stage, like, you're not going to sell anything unless you understand that presentation is the thing that sells. It's not the funnel, man. Because inside the funnel, it's presentation. You're presenting stuff. So if you want to win, whether you're on a stage or in a funnel, you got to present. So the first thing you need to think about when you're doing a presentation is, one, you got to get a really good headline. You got to get a great headline, because the headline is the hook for people to actually be interested and want more. All right, so you got to get a good headline. But once you get in the headline and you get into the body of the presentation, one of the key components is what I just said, which is the content. So in any presentation, you typically want to share 3 really good pieces of content, or 3 tips or 3 steps that you're going to share with somebody when you're doing something. So you want to get into the content. And so we break down the content of, like, okay, what are the 3 foundational things that somebody must know when you're trying to sell them something? So for me, it's like, you need to have a good presentation, which is the content. You need to have a good story, and you need to know how to close. Those are my 3 things. So for you right now, as you're looking at this, what are your 3 things? What are your 3 foundational pillars that are the non-negotiables? Without these things, the client will never succeed based on what you're selling them. Mine's these 3 things. So you have to have content. Within the content, you also need to have context. Who does this apply to? So if I go to you, hey, whether you're a coach, a consultant, an expert, a service business, a speaker, and whether you want just to convert more online or you want to get on stages and close more clients, the bottom line is you're doing this because you want to close many clients at one time. You want to close 5 people, 10 people, 50 people through your funnel. You want to get in a stage and you want to close 5, 10, 50 people at once. So the bottom line is you need a presentation that closes, period. So that's called context, right? Whether you're this, or this, it applies to this or it applies to this. So I show the context of how and what situations this actually applies in. So if I say that to somebody right off the bat, they get it. They're like, wow, okay, I need a headline, I need good content, and then I'm sharing the context of how this works. So when you're presenting to your audience, you're going to share the context of how this actually works and applies to them. So that's the basic of your content and how it applies to somebody in a presentation. And that's the first step. And if you don't get this step nailed, then you're done, because nobody's going to be paying attention to you, period, right? So that's a huge element of what you're doing, all right? That's the first major element of what you're doing, is get the content nailed. Now, before somebody's willing to listen to the content, you do need to hit a couple key points that I'm going to tell you at the end here, which are the most important points to get them to listen. So I'll get back to that in a moment. But let's get to the other key component that's super important. And by the way, if you're loving this, there's links below the video. If you feel like you need help with your presentation and your story and closing, you can book a free consult with one of our team members. There's links normally down below the videos here where you can go do that, okay? And we can help you with the structuring of your presentation. So you look at this and you go, we know content is the first thing. Then the second component of what you need is story. And man, this is a big one, okay? Because if you miss this, you don't win the game. All right. And storytelling is broken down into multiple components. And the key component here is the story structure is the most important. And then you can fit it to the stage that you're on. So if I'm on a webinar, I might have a 3-minute story. If I'm on somebody else's stage, it might be a 10 to 15-minute story. If I'm on a YouTube show, I might have, like, depending on how long it is, a 90-second or 2-minute story. If I'm on a podcast, I might have a 3-5-minute story, okay? All right, quick pause. So if you're liking this and you want help applying it to your business, just click the link down below and you can book a free strategy call with one of my consultants. And these exact systems I'm sharing with you today, we've helped thousands apply them to their business. Let's get back to it. So the structure remains the same of storytelling. It's how you tell it and the length of what it is that varies based on the platform you're getting on. If I'm telling my story in an ad, it might be like 10 seconds. And in an ad, telling my story might be like, hey, I get it. I was struggling on one-to-one sales calls when I was in the insurance business and, like, so exhausted that I OD'd from drugs and alcohol. almost died. And I woke up to the idea that I wanted to get my message out to many people at once, and I wanted to get my message to millions, so I did. And my first presentation I bombed on, and then I figured out the structure, and then I went on to do nearly 50 million in sales through presentations. Now that might be a little bit longer, like 20 seconds, but if I'm doing a video ad, I can do that. In a 90-second ads, I can give you 20 seconds. So, and in an ad, I can use my story. When you're doing it in shorter forms, you have story that's event-based storytelling, where you kind of tell the events, like I was going through this and this happened and this happened, and then all of a sudden I got this result. So you do it in an event, which isn't real storytelling, but when you only have 20 seconds, you can't really get into the mode of storytelling. Or you can do like, rather than event type storytelling, you can do real storytelling, right? And storytelling consists of some components where you actually want to get people into the present moment of the actual story. So if I'm sitting here and telling you stories like, I was exhausted on one-to-one sales calls and in the life insurance business, and I was just burnt out. I was delivering one-to-one with clients. I was selling one-to-one. And, one night after I cracked 6 figures, 4 a.m. in the morning, like I'm on the kitchen floor and, my soul's coming out of my body because I'm overdosing from a bag of cocaine, 2 pills of ecstasy, 15 vodka sodas. And next morning I wake up and I'm revived and I'm like, wow, like money didn't do it. And I realized that in that moment, my story and my message almost died inside of me. But then I thought to myself, well, if money didn't do it, maybe status would do it. And I'll go out and I'll become a partner with this company. And like, I put my head down for, 5 years. I became the number 5 partner out of 500 partners. And I remember just standing on the top of the building there on the 29th floor and just like, is this really all there is to my life? And I resigned and I walked out. And I realized I wanted to get my voice and my message out to the world, but I didn't know what my message was. I didn't know what my story was. I just knew I didn't want it to die inside of me, but I knew I wanted to lead seminars. So I went and I did one of my first seminars ever. And it was a bomb. I got up on stage. There was like 50 people there and everybody said no to my offer. I was being shot by like 50 million machine guns. And then I learned that the very simple thing that one needs to actually convert is you need great content, you need a story, and then you need to know how to close. And I didn't know any of those things when I got up on stage. I just knew how to kind of communicate and inspire people a little bit, but I didn't know the structure behind it. And then as I went online and did nearly $50 million in sales as a result of this structure, I realized that this works online too. It works with great content, great storytelling, great closing. And so in today's presentation, I'm going to break down for you how you can apply this across all platform stages, webinars, podcasts, YouTube shows, etc. Now, notice what I just did there. I did storytelling for you here versus event telling in the first scenario. Event telling is not engaging, but it gets a personal communication across and it gets people understanding what it is that you're doing. Make sense? So in these components, super powerful when you go into storytelling and you hit that on the head. So storytelling, we know, is important to what you're doing. And if you don't have it, you're not going to win because the audience is never going to relate to you and it's never going to become real. And storytelling isn't just based on, and this is a hugely important part. Storytelling isn't just based on the fact that you're going to tell people a story about your own life. You have storytelling that is about you, and you have storytelling that's about your customers. So you have you, and then you have stories about your customers. And you got to have both, because if somebody looks at your story and all of a sudden they're like, hey, like, that's great, it works for you, but like, it's not going to work for me. And then you tell a story about a customer that was in their shoes, boom. Now you have storytelling about yourself, storytelling about your customers, and you're in the game. And then if you want to take it a step further, you go into time stories. And this is if you're closing from the stage. This is how I close $200,000 packages from the stage. I do time stories. I do, money stories. I do loss stories, and I do more personal stories as well. And so when I tell these stories, that's how I overcome objections. So storytelling actually should be used not just to tell a story to create reality with you, not just to tell a story to show that, hey, my customers have done it, you can do it, but storytelling should be used to overcome objections. And that is the big one that most people miss. They overcoming objections is the huge thing that storytelling can be used for, and that's how you close more deals. And so that's how we do storytelling in our business. That's how we teach all of our clients. In our program, Take the Stage, where we teach people how to turn one presentation into actually a closing machine across all platforms. We teach this element of storytelling because it is the key factor in presenting, and everybody needs to know it. And whether you're on a stage or whether you're online, you got to know this stuff. And if you don't, you won't close as much. Okay, if you like this, you can click down below and go grab a free consultation with one of my team members, because we'll help you structure all of this and see how this applies to your business. Okay, so you've got story. Now, the last thing I'm going to talk to you about is the close. So it's like, great. So how do I actually do the close, man? Because that's what I'm interested in. Is like, I want to get clients. So how do I actually close more clients? And that's a huge component when you're doing a presentation. So to recap, number one, you got to have great content. And that's going to get people indoctrinated in the brand. Number two, you got to have great storytelling. And number three, you have to be really great at closing. And if you're not great at closing or the pitch, then you will not get clients in your funnel, and you will not get clients on stages. Period. End of story. So again, funnels don't actually close clients. Funnels are the structure. It's kind of the strategy of how we're going to run people through it. And at the end of the day, if the presentation of the offer is no good, the presentation of the ad is no good, nobody closes. So you got to close. So again, you have a free pitch where you can make a free pitch, and then you can also make a paid offer. And people often overlook the free pitch, and they don't close well. So the free pitch, where do you use the free pitch? You use the free pitch in multiple places. Number one, when you're on a podcast, you're going to use the free pitch. So oftentimes you can make a free offer to a free consultation. You can make a free offer to get my free gift. You can make a free offer to get my book. I'm giving away my book for free. And the whole purpose of the free offer is to either get names, emails, and cell phone numbers, or get somebody to book a free consultation so you can get them on the phone and close them. I did this, as I shared with you, with many clients before, where I've taught them how to do free offers. I've gotten on stages before where I do a free offer, and I've had people come up and buy large packages from me as a result, because then they get one-on-one time with me or my team, and we close the deal. All right. So free offers are huge. Additionally, when you're on a stage, there's a paid offer. But the mistake that people make is they think, if I'm doing a free offer, I don't need to close people on the free offer. And yes, you do. Now, one of the keys to the offer, and I'm going to give you sort of the secret here, is multiple calls to action. And this is just a great tip. Multiple calls to action. If I give you at least 3 CTAs, we call them, 3 CTAs, 3 calls to action, at least 3. The first one, if I mention it, you're like, oh, what is that? The second one I mention again, you're like, oh, might do that. The third one, if I mention it and I explain it more, you're like, man, I really want to do that. And then the way that you overcome people's resistance to taking action on the thing that you're explaining is storytelling to overcome the objections in their mind of, I got to think about it. I got to talk to my spouse. I got to do this. If you tell stories about that, then people close faster. All right. So 3 calls to action. In my seminar rooms, when I do this, I've had my peers that have come. I remember one of my friends, Alex Mandossian, who's kind of like the grandfather of this industry. I learned from him years ago. He taught me how to do webinar presentations. He came to one of my stage presentations and he watched me do my $100,000 offer from the stage. And years later, I just spoke to him like a couple months ago, and he's like, dude, man, I use your close from the stage. I use that whole presentation that you do from the stage in terms of getting people to stand up and grab the envelope. So when I make an offer, I get people to stand in the room and grab an envelope. And so when they stand up, I take the temperature of the room to see how many people are standing, how much harder do I need to close. And so in particular, when I do it in a room, I can see I got 10% of the audience, 20% of the audience, 30% of the audience. I also love it because people are standing for their own transformation. And I'm standing for them to get their transformation. I'm being there with them and be like, I'm here with you. I'm going to get you to go after your dreams. And so when they're standing, I will do many calls to action. Because what I noticed, the first call to action, like, you talking to me, they turn around and they look, they're like, you talking to me? Second call to action, like, nah, he's not really talking to me. This doesn't apply to me. Third call to action, they're like, oh yeah, this might be me. And then as I start handling the objections through storytelling, I'll get out of the offer and then I'll go, let me tell you a story about my client, David. And I tell the story about David where he didn't think he had the money and he came up with it. Let me tell you about my client, Joe. And I tell the story about time and how he found the time. And so I'll tell all these stories that overcome objections. And by the end of the presentation, in a seminar room, it's not uncommon for me to do 10 calls to action, meaning 10 closes. Like, okay, stand up and grab an envelope. Okay, go. Stand up and do this. Stand up and do this. Stand up and do this throughout the presentation. So one of the reasons people don't close online, one of the reasons people don't even close with free offers. If I'm on a stage and I just literally go one time, hey, go book your free consultation, it's not going to close as well as if I mention it multiple times. Even through this presentation, I've mentioned already 2 times, hey, if you want to book a free consultation and learn how to create your one presentation that can close 5, 10, 20 people at once across all different platforms, you should book a call with one of my consultants for free. I've done it 2 times, and I just did it a 3rd time right now demonstrating it. So multiple calls to action wins the game. And if you don't do that in a free offer, and even more so in a paid offer, then you don't get the deal. And people miss out on this all the time. They think it's free. Wouldn't anybody just buy it? Or I heard somebody the other day going, oh my God, it's $47 a month. Somebody's told me the other day, it's so cheap. Wouldn't they just buy it? Well, of course they would if they knew all the benefits and the outcomes to it. To you, it's obvious because you know your product and service inside and out. You know how great it is. You're like, it's amazing. Like for me, in my Take the Stage presentation or my year-long Stage Empire Mastermind, I know it's amazing because I'm going to show them how to use presentations that are going to help them close many, many clients. And it's the same presentations I used to close nearly $50 million in sales. And so I know how great it is, but if I don't tell people how great it is, if I don't explain to them and give them value so they can see how great it is for them, nobody buys. Nobody takes action, even on a free offer. Wild, right? So in closing, because this is the closing piece, the summary of what we did today is number 1, it doesn't matter like whether you want to get more clients online. It doesn't matter whether you want to close more deals from the stage. It doesn't matter whether you want your funnel to convert. If you want any of those things, it doesn't matter whether you want to do a better podcast to get more potential clients. None of those things work effectively without being great at presenting, period. And knowing the presentation structure. And in closing, the presentation structure consists of 3 non-negotiables of great content, number 1. Number 2, really good storytelling. And number 3, the ability to pitch and close. And if one doesn't have those 3 things, match it up anywhere in the funnel. If you look at ads, do you need to have drips of content or tips in your ads? Yes. If you look at a sales video, does it need to have content and stories and closing? Absolutely. If you look at a video that says, book this free consultation, like you see so many times online, do they need to have a good story, a good presentation, a good close? Yes. Right? If you get on a stage and you want to sell something or a webinar and you have 60 minutes, you need to give great content, tell a great story and close. Yes. If you're on a podcast, you need to tell a great story, give great content and close to a free offer. Yes. And if you don't do it, you don't get clients. Simple. So those are the 3 fundamentals you need to have. And as you learn those, people put the cart before the horse. They're like, I just want to go get booked on a stage. Okay, great. But when you get up there, do you know how to present? Do you know how to tell a story? Do you know how to close? No. I just want to get booked on podcasts. Great. What's your topic? Is it have a great hook and a headline? Okay, what's the presentation? What's the story? What's the pitch? Do you know? No, I don't know. So what are you going to do on a podcast? You're not going to win. I just want to get launched online. I want to get a funnel built. Great. Do you know what creates successful funnels? Presentations, dude. Period. Yes, there's an element of the design of I'm going to give the free thing and I'm going to do this. There's a strategy of it. You need to know that. But if you don't present well through every piece of the funnel, it doesn't close. That simple. And when one knows this, they become cause, unlike so many people who like just want to get on a stage and then they don't know how to close. or so many people who just want to launch a business online and they don't know what makes it converts. If you're great at presentations, you can look at the ad and go, does it have these 3 things in it? If your sales video isn't closing, you could look at the sales video and go, does it have these 3 things in it? If it doesn't, it's not going to win. And then your cause over your online marketing, meaning you control it. Your cause over the stage talk, your cause over the audience. You can control, communicate, close on all platforms. Simple. So the last thing that I said that I was going to share or save for the end is, like, in a presentation, you need to highlight the problem. So if somebody's struggling with this, and this, so I'll say in closing on this to demonstrate it, like, if you're struggling to get more clients online, it's yes, you need to get attention, you need to get an audience, but once you get an audience, if you don't have a presentation, you're never going to close people. So you can't just think about, I want to go out and get an audience, get attention. You need a presentation that closes. If you're struggling on webinars or podcasts, and you're like, I really want to make this online thing work, but if you don't have a good presentation, it's not going to work. It's not going to close. And if you're trading time for dollars and you're in the one-to-one model and you're exhausted and you're changing your desk and you're in the one-to-one delivery model and the one-to-one selling model, like, you need a more scalable model, and presentations can help you scale and close multiple people at once. So if you feel like you're in that spot and you're a coach, a consultant, expert, service business, or you just want to scale online, or you just want to present better because you want to get on stages and you are a speaker, I can tell you, after performing at the highest level, doing a one-man stage play on my life where I play 15 different characters from the stage, after traveling around the globe and doing this in Edinburgh and doing a 6-week run in Los Angeles and having, an experience of doing this play for 10 years, I know storytelling at the highest level. And so if you don't know how to tell stories, if you don't know the art of presenting, if you don't know the art of closing, you just don't win. So if you need some support, you should go book a free consultation with one of our coaches. And what they'll basically do is, number one, take a look at your business model and go, okay, great. How do you go to 6 or 7 figures online in a scalable way? If you're at 6, how do you go to 7? If you're at 7, how do you go to 8? And how do you do it in a scalable way? And the scalable way is presentations, and also looking at your delivery model of, like, are you still delivering one-to-one where it's sucking all your time? Number 2 is, what's the challenge that you're facing of why maybe your presentations aren't converting or why you're actually not succeeding online? Let's bust through the challenge. And then number 3, a plan to craft your presentations and structure them for the right platform, the one platform that's going to help you get started to either get more clients or to get clients online for the first time. And if that's you, you should click down below and snag it. And I know in most people's minds, it's like, another free consultation where they're going to sell me something. Of course, somebody's going to sell you something at the end if there's a fit. And in most cases, if you're clicking to go book a free consultation, there is a fit. But we're going to show you the path to get there first and see how it applies to your goals, so you can see how our content and our system applies to your number one goal. And if they match up and it can get you there faster, of course it makes sense to work with us, right? All right. So I hope this serves you. And I hope the content was helpful for you. And this just changes the game, because if you realize that, most things you see today where people are winning, YouTube shows, podcasts, webinars, in-person stages, other people's stages, online funnels, sales videos, book a free consultation, it's presentation that wins the game. And when you learn that, you're gonna win big. And when you learn it and truly know it, that's how you can control the outcome of your online marketing, control the outcome of any seminar room you walk into, or any stage you're on, or any podcast you're on. Make sense? Okay, I hope it serves you. So click down below and get in the game if you want help, and book your free consultation. See you soon. So if you're serious about scaling your business online and you want help with my one-to-many selling method to sell on podcasts or webinars or virtual stages or in person, then click the link down below and book a free strategy call. My coaches will help you implement it. We've worked with over 30,000 businesses on these very same strategies. Click it down below and go book. See you soon.